What up, spiritual gangsters? I'm back. We're going to be talking about the co-evolution treaty. Should be a good day today. I'm getting my hair taken down finally. I've been through spiritual warfare, but I don't have to look like it. You know what I'm saying? I got to get my tooth fixed too. That's something I'm going to have to do down the line. But yeah, co-evolution treaty. All right. So in my last video, I talked about how the Anuhazi, they made a treaty with God. Well, it was a covenant with God called the Emerald Covenant, where basically the universe should be run on free will and love. Within this Emerald Covenant, there's something called the Co-Evolution Treaty. This basically gives the opportunity for any being, any creature to evolve and return back to God's source. So down here in the third dimension, we are considered incarnates, which means we haven't even become souls yet. Well, we have, except we chose to come back down here. Some people have been stuck down here ever since the days of Lemuria because that ended with the cataclysm. So some of us came back down to help the souls, go back to evolution, go back to source. Um, when this happened, some animals chose to stay behind, like the dolphin. This is why I don't want you talking to dolphins, because dolphins, they know the songs of Lemuria. And if you begin to pick up on some of their psychic communications, you actually be able to talk to dolphins and actually be able to use that communication outside of talking to dolphins. This is why they make it illegal. But if you actually listen to some of the Native Americans, they don't view animals the way we view animals at all. They call horses sacred dogs. And the video I was watching, the dude just kind of looked at him like he was crazy, but I knew what he meant, because nothing that we actually are looking at is actually what it is. Just like you're looking at me, you think I'm just a regular 3D human, but that's not what I am at all. It's not what you are at all. You are a 12-dimensional Christos avatar, but right now we're so many distortions of that. We're basically 9 dimensions down from what we're supposed to be. We're not supposed to be here in the third dimension. We had to come here to save souls, and some souls are trapped here and have been going through cycles of reincarnation because they keep going back into the moon and they're not learning their lesson. Either one, either they didn't learn their lesson or they keep going into the light. You're not supposed to go into the light. That's the moon. The moon is a supercomputer that erases your memory so that you can't evolve. This is why we're here, to stop these types of beings from doing things like this, so that people can actually take the ladder of ascension and go back to source. So people don't understand just how cold our universe is because they don't know anything about the co-evolution, treaty. So let me explain it. So when a creature is created, it has a divine blueprint that it was created with. This is always in the 12th dimension. Everything in the 12th dimension is holy, sacred. There's no evil in the 12th dimension. Everything down, yes, there is. There is unsacredness. So everything there is protected under major security from very powerful beings. So no matter how distorted you get down here, you always have that divine blueprint. You always have a perfected version of yourself in God's eyes, in God's original creation for you. So when a creature is created, it gets created there, and then it gets put into a habitat where it can evolve. And once it starts to grow in consciousness, it goes up dimensions. It goes up into different worlds. It has to find ways um to grow from what it was the last time. So like, let's say in my past life, I began to start taking advantage of people, start making them do things that they didn't necessarily want to do because they just wanted to be loyal to me, right? Well, in this life, to to actually evolve, I would have to pledge a service to humanity for doing what I did last time. That's the only way I'm going to evolve. But the tricky thing about it is, in order for me to even evolve, I had to go through that phase of abusing people, of tricking people, of taking advantage of people, to realize I didn't want that, so that I can be better and I can have greater values. See, this is an immortal soul. There's no way an immortal soul can always be good forever. There's no way. In order for a soul to evolve, it has to go through things that it wouldn't necessarily agree with. It has to experience things that it wouldn't necessarily want. So that's the beautiful thing about our reality. No matter how bad things seem to be, it's always for a reason. It's always for a reason. Just like right now, us being on Earth, it might suck. Yeah, it definitely does suck. But in the end, we can ascend. We're ascending to Earth right now. Earth is ascending back to Tara, and that's a beautiful thing. Because once we ascend back into Tara, all of the mystical, fantastical things will become a reality to us again. And we can actually live amongst these creatures that people think we're crazy for actually believing in. Like horses. Well, not horses. Unicorns and stuff like that. They actually do exist. You just can't perceive them because you only have a 3D eye. But we're in our bodies, we're supposed to have control over every cell in our body. Actually, yogis in India, some of the yogis can actually do this. They can turn into water, they can turn into different types of elements. Like, I remember hearing about the story from Sadhguru that um somebody was being chased down by the police, whatever they call it over there. And he actually went into a room and turned himself into water, and they couldn't find him. He was just a puddle of water. And then he just reformed himself when they left. We should be able, everybody should be able to do that, have that level of control over their bodies. But we can't because we have so many distortions. This is why you need to eat a healthy diet, stay away from meat, stay away from preservatives, and all types of other things, so that you can have more control over your physiology. Um, these animals that I'm talking about, these mystical animals, they have that level of control, which is why we can't see them. If they choose that, if they choose to appear to us, they can do that, but they rarely choose to do that. You have to have a very high vibration for them to actually trust you, because they don't want to put themselves in danger. These are highly evolved beings. These beings are more intelligent than us right now. They may look like creatures, but they're vastly more intelligent than the average 3D human. Because they're souls. Souls are like me and you. They just chose to go inside of a creature rather than a being. This is why you don't disrespect nature. This is why we didn't kill things originally. We ate fruits and vegetables. They even tell you this in the Bible. We didn't kill animals because animals are supposed to evolve alongside us. Animals are supposed to be our protectors. We're supposed to protect them in return. It's a cycle of love, supposed to be. That's why Earth is evolving, because Earth no longer wants to see us kill animals and eat animals, and because animals are supposed to be our family. Did you know, like, the 12 humans have 12 strands of DNA, and one of those strands actually comes from an extraterrestrial race called Ceres. These are bird extraterrestrials, and this is where we actually get our wings from, and that's why we are angelic. You're like, well, I don't see wings. It's because our wings are etheric, and you don't really get your etheric wings unless you evolve. Like, for me, for instance, I'm at least 5D consciousness right now. I have my crystalline body. Um, Sometimes I astral project and things like that. That's how I know I at least have my fifth strand. Sometimes I can even feel my wings flutter, and I've actually felt this a few times throughout my life. But sometimes I can actually gain control over them and flap them myself. But it takes a lot of concentration and willpower, because we're disconnected from that part of ourselves. We're disconnected from the sixth dimensional angelic DNA unless you unlock it fully. which you can do through Cathara healing and Kilocting science, which I'm learning right now. I put up my Maharic seal every day, and it's helping. It's definitely helping. I see things changing in my life in a positive direction. My thoughts are a lot more clear, put together, a lot more hopeful. I feel my heart chakra all the time now. I feel energy coming in and out. Man, like people really need to start learning about Cathara healing because it's really what you need. It's the sciences from the Guardians, and it's quite a shame that people won't even believe that it will work. They won't even attempt it. But that just goes to show you their level of consciousness, their level of wanting to evolve. This is why we have the 3D 5D split, because some people are choosing not to evolve and some people desperately want to but can't because the other ones aren't. So there has to be a split, and Earth is choosing the 5D consciousness and not the 3D consciousness. When we leave, the soul of this planet is going to be gone. It's just going to be nothing but rock. And that's what people got to understand. It's going to be nothing but rock. And there's going to be archons, demons, all types of things here. They're just waiting for the moment when we leave. When the higher evolved consciousness leaves, there will be nothing left here. This world will fall into chaos. It's just why I'm here. I'm trying to educate you on these types of things so that that isn't your fate. I want you to evolve with us. Wouldn't it be cool if I got to see you in a higher dimensional world and you actually got to see me for what I actually am and I got to see you for what you actually are? Angelic beings, godlike beings. I don't know. Some people, I don't know. That just doesn't sound good to some people. Some people just want AI and technology, which is absurd to me. I'd rather go back and live in the woods, live in nature, than rather deal with technology, honestly. But I realize technology is a part of our reality because even in the angelic realms, we use technology. We use technology to create beings. We use technology to go certain places. We use technology to create planets themselves. So it's kind of like that dualistic ideal of you know nature versus technology, humanity versus AI, that type of thing. But in the upper realms, it's really all one thing. It's really all one reality. And they trick you down here by giving you the illusion of separation. Because, our minds are all interconnected, just at different levels. Like if you're at the 5D consciousness, you're going to be tapping into 5D consciousness thought forms. If you're at 3D consciousness, you're going to be at 3D consciousness thought forms. And that would look like, it would look like being, over dependent on technology. It would be over dependence on meat, survival foods rather than foods that are going to help you evolve your consciousness. So the co-evolution treaty is something that the Anahazi put in place to make sure that all beings will always be equal no matter what stage that they're at, because we can recognize that even though this being may not be as powerful, may not have the same level of consciousness, it just hasn't gotten to its evolution yet. It hasn't gotten to that level of evolution. But really, we're all equal. And it's hard to understand that when you're down here because people have a superiority complex, a racial superiority complex too, which is absurd to me because we're all one race, the Ternese Mangelic humans. But yeah, Earth is ascending to 5D. We're going back to Tara, and then we won't have to really deal with 3D consciousness anymore. We won't have to deal with people who don't want to evolve and want to drag us down with them anymore. We can just go up in an upward direction and figure out what we need to evolve personally as souls, as godlike beings, so that one day we can go back to source, back to our divine blueprint. But yeah, that's pretty much what the co-evolution treaty is. It's very interesting if you actually read up on it with the Emerald Covenant and the Law of One teachings. It goes in a lot more detail than I can get into because I can't show you diagrams. I can't really list all of the races because there's just so many and there's just so much to it. It's just so beautiful, and I'm glad that the Anahazi actually put this in place for us to actually evolve rather than us just being the same beings forever. That isn't any fun, especially not for an immortal soul. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I'll see you next time.